Here we will estimate the time when the moon rises and the moon sets. We begin with a few simplifying assumptions. First, that the moon's orbit is circular. Next, that the moon orbits Earth on the equatorial plane. Third, that the sun is on the equatorial plane. And last, that the observer is located on the equator. So in order to estimate the times when the moon rises and when the moon sets, we first identify the phase of the moon. Next, we determine the time when the moon is highest in the sky. Once you have the time when the moon is highest in the sky, then 6 hours earlier is when the moon will rise, and 6 hours later is when the moon will set. So if we look at a diagram looking from above, so we're looking down here, this represents the North Pole, we're looking down on the Earth. For a person located on the equator, with the sun off to the right here, for this person, local time would be noon. 6 hours later, it would be 6 p.m. 6 hours after that, it would be midnight, and 6 hours after that, it would be 6 in the morning, 6 a.m. Notice that this side of the Earth is the day side, this side is the night side. Similarly, for the moon here, we're assuming that the orbit of the moon is circular, so this would represent the day side of the moon, and this represents the night side of the moon. So in order to determine the times when the moon rises and sets, again, this is just an estimate. We identify the phase of the moon, so let's look at full moon. So let's consider full moon. So we've identified the phase, full moon. Next, we determine the time when the moon is highest in the sky. So at what time is the moon highest in the sky during full moon? Well, it would be at midnight. Next, the moon will rise 6 hours earlier. So 6 hours earlier from midnight, it would be 6 p.m. And it would set 6 hours later, 6 hours after it was the highest in the sky. So 6 hours after that would be 6 a.m. So we have determined then that full moon rises closest to 6 p.m. and sets closest to 6 a.m. So the moon will be rising when the sun is setting, and the moon will be setting when the sun is rising, for the case of full moon.